I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from. What I'm about to tell you happened on what should have been the happiest day of my life, my son's wedding. Instead, I stood up in front of 300 people and said 2 words that changed everything. I object. But let me back up, because what led me to that moment started with a phone call I should never have ignored. A family driver who risked everything to show me the truth, and a woman so skilled at deception that she nearly destroyed my entire family. My name is Charlotte Hayes. I'm 55 years old, and I've been a widow for 3 years. My husband Robert built our family's hotel business from a single property in downtown Atlanta to a portfolio worth $50 million. When he died of a sudden heart attack, he left me not just his fortune, but a promise I made at his bedside. Protect Jason. Always protect our boy. That morning, standing in my bedroom at our Buckhead mansion, I had no idea how desperately I'd need to keep that promise. The navy blue dress hung on my closet door, carefully chosen 3 months earlier. Mother of the groom attire. Elegant, but not attention-grabbing. The kind of thing a woman wears when she's proud, but knows this day isn't about her. I should have been crying happy tears. Calling my sister in Phoenix to say, "Can you believe it? Our Jason's getting married." Instead, I stood there with my hand pressed against my chest, feeling my heartbeat thud too fast, too loud. Something was wrong. I couldn't name it. Couldn't point to a specific thing and say, "There, that's the problem." But it sat in my stomach like a stone-heavy cold, unwelcome. Robert would have known what to do. 3 years gone, and I still caught myself turning toward his side of the bed, ready to say, "Do you feel it too?" But Robert wasn't here. And Jason, my sweet, trusting boy, was downstairs getting ready to marry Mia Rodriguez. Beautiful Mia. Polished Mia. Said all the right things, Mia. I shook my head, pushed the thought away, reached for my pearl earrings. "Stop it, Charlotte," I whispered to my reflection. "You're being paranoid." But Robert's voice echoed in my memory as clear as if he were standing beside me. "Trust your gut, sweetheart. It's never wrong." I was fastening the second earring when I heard it gravel crunching in the driveway. Too early. We weren't supposed to leave for another 20 minutes. Frederick's car. I grabbed my purse and headed downstairs, my heels clicking against the marble floors of the foyer. When I stepped outside, the spring morning hit me like a promise warm air suite with magnolia blossoms, the kind of Georgia day that made you believe in new beginnings. But Frederick Palmer's face told a different story. He stood beside the black Mercedes sedan, hands clenched at his sides, jaw tight. Frederick had worked for our family for 15 years. He'd driven Robert to his last business meeting. He'd driven me to Emory Hospital the night Robert died. Frederick didn't panic. Ever. But right now he looked like a man barely holding himself together. "Mrs. Hayes," he said, his voice low and urgent. "We need to talk. Right now." I froze halfway down the front steps. "Frederick, please." He stepped closer and I saw it, then the fear flickering in his eyes. Real fear. "Get in the car. I need to show you something before Jason comes out." "Show me what, Fred, you're scaring me." His throat worked. When he spoke again, his voice cracked. "Mrs. Hayes, I made a promise to Mr. Robert. The night he died in the hospital, he made me swear I'd look after you and Jason. Right now I'm asking you to trust me. Please." Robert's name hit me like a physical blow. Frederick never invoked Robert's memory lightly. Never used it to manipulate or persuade. If he was saying this now... I looked back toward the house. Through the front windows I could see Jason moving around in the living room, probably struggling with his tie the way his father always had. Happy. Excited, ready to marry the woman he loved, the woman he thinks he loves. The thought came unbidden, and I hated myself for it. "Frederick," I whispered, "what did you find out?" His jaw clenched. "Not here, not now, but you need to hear something before Blake walks down that aisle. And he can't know you're listening." My hand shook as I gripped my purse tighter. "What are you talking about?" "Please, Mrs. Hayes." Frederick opened the back door. The interior smelled like leather and the lavender air freshener he knew I preferred. "Get in, I'll explain, but we're running out of time." I stared at that open door, at the blanket folded neatly on the back seat, at Frederick's face, this man who'd been family for 15 years, who'd never lied to me, who'd held my hand at Robert's funeral when I couldn't stand on my own. From inside the house, I heard Jason's voice laughing about something. I climbed into the back seat. The door closed with a soft click that sounded like a vault ceiling. "I need you to stay down. Frederick said quietly through the partition. "When Jason comes out, he can't see you back here." "Fred, what is—" "Trust me, please." The front door of the house opened. I heard Jason's footsteps on the gravel, his cheerful voice calling out, "Ready to go, Fred, big day." "Yes, sir," Frederick replied, his tone perfectly normal, perfectly calm. "Right on schedule." I pressed myself against the leather seat, my heart hammering. The passenger door opened. The car shifted as Jason slid in. His cologne filled the air, sharp and clean, the same scent Robert used to wear. "Man," Jason laughed as Frederick started the engine. "I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Getting married. It's surreal." "It's a big day, Mr. Jason," Frederick said evenly. "The biggest." Jason's voice softened. "I just wish Dad were here, you know. He'd probably have some joke about me finally settling down." My throat tightened. I pressed my fist against my mouth to keep from making a sound. "Your father would be very proud," Frederick said quietly. The car began to move, and there I was, Charlotte Hayes, dressed for my son's wedding, hiding in the back seat of my own car, listening to Jason's happy voice, and wondering what truth I was about to discover. He has no idea, I thought. No idea his world is about to shatter. And neither do I. We'd been driving for maybe 10 minutes when Jason's phone rang. I couldn't see anything from my position pressed against the seat, but I could hear everything. The hum of the engine, the soft rush of other cars passing, the sharp buzz of Jason's phone vibrating against the dashboard. "It's Mia," Jason said, and I heard the smile in his voice. "Hey, babe, I'm on my way to the church now." He must have put her on speaker because suddenly her voice filled the car. Smooth, sweet, perfectly warm. "Good morning, handsome," Mia said. "How are you feeling?" "Nervous," Jason admitted with a laugh. "But good nervous, you know, like this is really happening." "It is." There was something in her tone I couldn't quite place. "After today, everything changes." I frowned. Everything changes. The words themselves were normal, something any bride might say. But the way she said it, there was something underneath. Something that didn't sound like joy. Jason didn't seem to notice. "I can't wait to start our life together, Mia. You, me, the whole future." A pause, just a beat too long. "Yeah," Mia said. "Finally. Our life. Finally." Finally. Why did that word sound so wrong? I pressed my hand against my chest, trying to slow my breathing. "You're overthinking this, Charlotte. You're hiding in a car because Frederick told you to, and now you're reading into every word like some paranoid, 'Where's your mom?'" Mia asked, her voice suddenly curious. Jason answered easily. "She's coming separately. She wanted some time alone to process everything. You know how moms get emotional." My throat tightened. "Good," Mia said, then softer almost to herself. "That's good. Good. Why would it be good that I wasn't there?" Jason's phone buzzed again, a different sound this time. An incoming call trying to break through. "Hang on, babe," Jason said. "Someone's trying to call me." "Who?" Mia's voice sharpened instantly. "I don't know. Unknown number." "Probably a spam call," Mia said quickly. Too quickly. "Ignore it. It's your wedding day." "Yeah, you're right," but Jason sounded uncertain. They kept talking something about the reception, whether Jason remembered to pick up his boutonniere normal wedding day chatter. But I barely heard it because Jason's phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. "That's weird," Jason said. "Same number." "Ignore it," Mia said again, more insistent this time. "You don't have time for telemarketers." Yeah, okay." They said their goodbyes. "I love you. See you at the altar." And Jason hung up. Silence filled the car for maybe 30 seconds. Then the phone rang again. Not a buzz this time. A full, loud ring. "For the love of—" Jason grabbed the phone. I heard him check the screen. "Same number. Third time in 5 minutes. What the hell?" Frederick's voice came from the driver's seat, perfectly neutral. "You want me to pull over, sir?" "No, I'll just—" Jason's voice clipped off. "Hello?" I couldn't hear the other person, but I heard Jason's response. "I told you not to call this number." His voice dropped low. Not angry, but scared. Actually scared. "I told you I'd handle it. Stop calling me." He hung up fast. The car felt suddenly smaller, tighter. "Everything all right, Mr. Jason?" Frederick asked, his tone still perfectly neutral. Jason forced a laugh, but it came out hollow. Yeah, just wedding stress, you know, people wanting money for stupid stuff." "Of course, sir." But I could hear it. The tremor underneath Jason's words. The way his breathing had quickened. The way he shifted in his seat like he couldn't get comfortable. My son was scared. And he was lying. To Frederick. To himself. Maybe even to me if I'd been sitting beside him instead of hiding like a fugitive in the back seat. Who was that? I wanted to scream. Who's calling you? What aren't you telling me? But I stayed silent, frozen, listening. Frederick's voice came again, gentle. You sure you're all right, sir? I'm fine, Fred. Jason's voice cracked on the word fine. Just, let's get to the church, okay? I need to marry Mia. Everything will be fine once I marry her. Once I marry her, like marriage was a finish line, a solution, a way to make something stop. My chest felt like someone had wrapped a band around it and pulled tight. What are you running from, Jason? And why do you think marrying Mia will save you? The car kept moving and I kept listening, and somewhere in the space between what my son was saying and what he wasn't a terrible truth was beginning to take shape. The car slowed, then turned. I felt the shift in direction, the pull to the left when we should have been going straight. Even hidden beneath the blanket, I'd memorized the route to St. Philip's Cathedral. Robert's funeral had been held there. Jason's baptism. Every major moment of our family's life had happened in that Gothic building on Peachtree Street. This wasn't the way. Fred, Jason's voice carried a note of uncertainty. Where are we going? Slight detour, sir, Frederick answered smoothly. Mrs. Hayes asked me to pick up something from the old office. I held my breath. There was no old office, no forgotten item. But Jason didn't know that. Oh, Jason's phone chimed a text message alert. Actually, that's perfect timing. Mia just texted. She says there's an emergency at her friend's house. She needs me to pick her up before the church. My pulse quickened. She sent an address, Jason continued. I could hear him reading. It's, this neighborhood doesn't look familiar. Mia's friends usually live in... He trailed off. I knew what he meant. Mia's circle, or the circle she'd shown us, lived in places like ours. Gated communities. Tree-lined streets with names like Oakmont Drive and Willow Creek Lane. This wasn't that. The car stopped. This is it. Jason sounded confused. Mia said to wait inside in the living room. She'll just be a minute. The door opened. I'll be right back, Fred. Footsteps on pavement, growing fainter. Then Frederick's voice, low and urgent. Mrs. Hayes, come out. Now. I pushed the blanket off. Light flooded in, morning sun almost blinding after so long in darkness. I blinked hard, my eyes adjusting. Frederick stood at the open door, hand extended to help me out. I took it. My legs had gone stiff from staying curled up. My dress was wrinkled beyond repair. I didn't care. Frederick, I hissed, keeping my voice low. What is this? Where are we? He didn't answer, just pointed. I followed his gesture to a small house. Single-story, painted pale yellow, maybe 30 years old. The lawn needed mowing. A child's bike lay on its side near the garage. And there at the end of the driveway, a mailbox. Black letters on white, the Rodriguez family. I stared at it, read it again. Rodriguez, I whispered. But Mia's last name is Look at the House, Mrs. Hayes. I did. Jason stood at the front door, the main entrance facing the street. He knocked. The door opened. Mia appeared. But not the Mia I knew. Not the polished, perfect woman who'd had dinner at our house just 3 days ago. This Mia wore jeans and a simple sweater. Her hair was pulled back in a casual ponytail. No makeup, no designer clothes. Nothing like the carefully curated image she presented to our family. She smiled at Jason, bright, warm, gestured inside. I heard her voice carry slightly across the lawn. Hey, I just need to grab my things from upstairs. Wait here, babe. The door closed. I turned to Frederick, my pulse hammering in my throat. What's going on? Who lives here? Frederick's jaw tightened. Not who lives here, Mrs. Hayes, who Mia comes here to see. What are you talking about? He pointed again. Not to the front door this time, to the side of the house. A smaller door, a side entrance, the kind that led to a mudroom or kitchen. Ordinary, easy to miss if you weren't looking for it. Watch that door, Frederick said, his voice barely above a whisper. Not the front, the side. Why, what am I? Please. His hand gripped my arm gently but firmly. Just watch. She doesn't know we're here. She doesn't know you're about to see who she really is. My breath caught. The Rodriguez family. A house Jason had never been to. A side door I was supposed to watch. And Frederick's face, that look of barely controlled urgency, the same look he'd had when he told me to hide in the car. What am I about to see, Frederick? I thought, my whole body trembling. What's through that side door? But I already knew. Somewhere deep in my gut, in that place Robert always told me to trust, I already knew. I just wasn't ready to believe it yet. So I watched. And I waited. 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. I crouched behind Frederick's Mercedes, my knees pressed against the cold concrete, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. The modest neighborhood was quiet at this hour. A few birds chirping the distant hum of traffic from the main road, someone's sprinkler system clicking on 2 houses down. Nothing about this street matched the world Jason and I inhabited. Nothing about this moment made sense. Frederick had positioned me here with a single instruction: watch that side door. At exactly 8 o'clock it opened. Mia stepped out. Not the bride-to-be who'd been charming our family for 2 years. Not the poised professional who supposedly worked in marketing for a tech startup downtown. This was someone else entirely. She wore the same jeans and sweater from when she'd answered the door for Jason. Her hair was still in that casual ponytail. She moved with quick efficiency. No grace, no pretense. Just practical movements of someone going through a familiar routine. In her hands, a travel mug of coffee and her phone. She was halfway down the side steps when the door burst open again. "Mommy?" A little girl exploded through the doorway. Maybe 6 years old. Blonde curls bouncing. She wore pink pajamas with unicorns on them. She threw her arms around Mia's legs. My breath stopped. "Do you have to go?" the little girl asked, her voice carrying clear across the yard in the morning quiet. Mia knelt down. Her whole demeanor changed, softened. She set the coffee down and cupped the child's face with both hands. "Just for today, sweetheart," Mia said, her voice gentle, loving, real in a way I'd never heard from her before. "Then everything will be different. I promise. But I'll miss you." The little girl's bottom lip trembled. "I know, baby, but this is important. For all of us. We need to talk about Vincent." A man appeared in the doorway. Late 30s, wearing worn jeans and a faded Braves t-shirt. Exhausted eyes. According to the mailbox, Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez. "He called again last night." Daniel continued, his voice tight with stress. "If we don't pay him by Monday, not now." Mia cut him off sharp, her eyes darting toward the house. "Jason's inside." Daniel's face crumpled. "You're really doing this, marrying him?" He shook his head. "He seems like a good man, Mia. He doesn't deserve—" "His goodness won't pay Vincent," Mia interrupted, her voice ice cold. "But his family's money will." I pressed my fist against my mouth to keep from making a sound. Mia stepped closer to Daniel. When she spoke again, her voice was lower, but I could still hear every word. "The Hayes estate, the hotels, the investment accounts. That's what keeps our daughter safe." She paused. 1 year of marriage, a clean divorce, and we're free. Vincent gets paid, and we disappear. Start over somewhere he can't find us. Daniel stared at the ground. "I don't like this." "You don't have to like it." Mia pulled him close, and then she kissed him. Not the polite gesture she gave Jason in public. This was real. Years of history in that kiss. A marriage, a family. "You just have to trust me," Mia said against his lips. "Daddy Benam, see." The little girl, Sophia, I realized with a jolt, tugged on Daniel's shirt. "Can we have pancakes?" "Sure, baby." Daniel's voice broke. "Go inside. I'll be right there." Sophia skipped away, humming, oblivious. That innocent child had no idea her mother was about to destroy another family to save their own. Mia looked back at Daniel one more time. "After today, we'll have everything we need. I promise." Then she slipped back through the side door without another word. I watched her disappear into the house. Watched Daniel stand there on the steps, shoulders slumped, looking like a man drowning in guilt and desperation. Watched Sophia's pink pajamas flash past a window inside, still humming her little song about pancakes and unicorns. Something shattered inside my chest. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. Not just about protecting Jason from heartbreak or financial loss. A child's life was at stake. A desperate father dragged into a nightmare. And somewhere out there, a dangerous man named Vincent expecting his money Mia planned to steal from my family. From my son. From Robert's legacy. "Mrs. Hayes." Frederick's voice cut through my paralysis. I turned. He stood beside me, his expression grim but not surprised. He'd seen all of this before. That's why he'd brought me here. "How long have you known?" I whispered. 2 weeks. I started noticing inconsistencies in her stories, wrong details about her supposed job. I followed her one day. He paused. "I'm sorry you had to see it this way. Does Jason know about any of this?" "No, he's completely in the dark." 30 seconds later, the front door opened. Jason emerged with Mia at his side. She'd transformed again, put on a jacket, touched up her face somehow. The mask was back in place. She smiled up at Jason, slipped her hand into his. "Sorry about that. My friend's cat got out, but we found him. Crisis averted." Jason laughed, pulled her close. "No problem. Ready to go get married." "More than ready." Mia's voice was warm, loving, perfect. She was very, very good at this. They walked to a silver sedan parked in the driveway, Mia's car apparently. "Let's take my car, baby," Mia said. "I want to drive us to the church together, just you and me before everything changes." Jason's face softened. "That's really sweet, Mia." He glanced back toward the street where Frederick's Mercedes waited. "I'll text Fred to meet us there." Perfect. Within moments, her car pulled away. I watched it disappear around the corner, taking my son toward what should have been the happiest day of his life. Instead, he was driving into a trap. I stepped out from behind the Mercedes, my legs shaking, but my resolve absolute. "Frederick," I said quietly, "we need to talk to Daniel Rodriguez. Now." "I thought you might say that." Frederick checked his watch. "We have 40 minutes until the ceremony. If you're going to stop this wedding, we need to move fast." I looked back at the small yellow house. Through the window, I could see Daniel inside, lifting Sophia onto his shoulders. She was still humming, still innocent, still completely unaware of what her mother was about to do. "Robert," I thought, touching the wedding ring I still wore after 3 years. "If you can hear me, tell me I'm doing the right thing." But I already knew what Robert would say. I could hear his voice as clearly as if he were standing beside me. "Protect the ones you love, Charlotte, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." I walked to the front door and knocked. The knock echoed louder than I expected. I stood on the front porch of Daniel Rodriguez's house, heart-racing, hands remarkably steady despite everything. Morning sun felt too bright for what I was about to do. Inside, footsteps approached. The door opened. Daniel looked exactly like I'd seen him moments ago through the window, late 30s. Exhausted eyes, the weight of the world on his shoulders. He studied me with confusion and growing wariness. "Can I help you?" "My name is Charlotte Hayes." I kept my voice steady. "I believe you know my son, Jason." Every drop of color drained from his face instantly. His hand gripped the doorframe like it was the only thing keeping him upright. I don't... I held up my phone, showing him the engagement photo Jason had sent 2 months ago. Blake and Mia smiling at some restaurant, her ring catching the light. Then another photo from their engagement party at our home. Daniel staggered backward. "Oh God," he whispered. "She's really doing it." I stepped forward. He didn't stop me. The living room was modest but clean, worn furniture that had seen better days, toys scattered on carpet that needed replacing. In the corner, Sophia sat with a dollhouse, humming softly to herself as she arranged tiny furniture. That innocent child. That sweet, innocent child. "Doing what?" I asked, though I already knew. I needed to hear him say it. Daniel glanced at his daughter. She hadn't looked up, lost in her imaginary world. "Zoe," he said softly. "Sweetheart, can you play in your room for a few minutes? Daddy needs to talk to this nice lady." "Okay, Daddy." Sophia gathered her dolls and skipped down the hallway, still humming. The moment her door closed, Daniel's composure crumbled. "She's my wife," his voice cracked. "Legally. We've been married for 5 years. The words hit hard, even though I'd seen the evidence with my own eyes. Hearing it confirmed 5 years longer than Jason had even known her made it devastatingly real. "And today," I said quietly, voice trembling despite my attempt at control, "she's marrying my son." Daniel nodded miserably. "She said it would solve everything." "Solve what?" The story spilled out. All of it. They'd gotten into debt medical bills first. Sophia had been born 2 months premature, spent 6 weeks in NICU at Grady Memorial. Even with insurance, they were looking at over $200,000. "We were young," Daniel said, his voice hollow. "I was working construction. Mia was waitressing. We couldn't pay it all." So they made payments, struggled. Then Daniel's brother convinced him to invest their savings in what seemed like a sure thing, a rental property that would generate income. It was a scam, Daniel said flatly. We lost everything, all our savings, another 100,000 in the hole. They went to banks, got rejected everywhere, credit ruined, no options. Then someone Daniel worked with mentioned Vincent Kane. He's not a banker. Daniel's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. He's something else. He loans money when no one else will. But the interest? 15% per month. My stomach turned. We borrowed 300,000, Daniel continued. Thought we could pay it back in a few years. But the interest kept compounding. We couldn't keep up. Now we owe over 800,000. $800,000? I repeated the number, staggering. And if we don't pay him by December 31st... Daniel's hands started shaking. He looked toward the hallway where Sophia had disappeared. Vincent said he'd take her. My daughter. He said he has buyers. People who... He couldn't finish. Just pressed his palms against his eyes. That's when Mia came up with the plan. For months, Mia had been researching, looking for a way out. That's when she found our family. She discovered the Hayes Hotel group online, Daniel said. Started reading everything she could find. Your husband's obituary, the business articles about the estate. She learned about Jason, that he was single, that he'd lost his father, that he was vulnerable. My hands clenched into fists. She created a whole new identity, Daniel continued. Went back to using her maiden name Thompson, made up a background story, got a fake job in marketing. Then she engineered a meeting. The Children's Hospital Charity Gala, I said, 2 years ago. Daniel nodded. She spent weeks learning about what Jason cared about, read every interview she could find, figured out his interests, his values, what would appeal to him. She knew he volunteered with children's charities because of something your husband used to do, so she positioned herself there. I remembered that night. Jason had come home glowing. Mom, I met someone. She's amazing. She volunteers at the same hospital where Dad used to read to the kids. It's like fate. Not fate. Calculation. What was the plan? I asked, though part of me didn't want to know. Marry him. Gain access to joint accounts, credit lines, everything. She said she'd transfer what we needed within the first week, enough to pay Vincent and have money left over to disappear. Then she'd stage a divorce after 6 months. Make it look like it just didn't work out. And Jason would be left with a broken heart and empty bank accounts. Daniel looked away. She said he'd recover, that he had enough money it wouldn't really hurt him. But it would destroy him, I said, my voice harder than I intended. My son lost his father 3 years ago. He's been drowning in grief. Mia studied that grief and weaponized it. I know. Daniel's voice broke completely. I know, and I hate it. Jason seems like a genuinely good person. He deserves better than this. But Vincent Kane, he looked toward Sophia's room again. He showed us pictures of what happens to people who don't pay. He showed us pictures of children who've been... He stopped, swallowed hard. My daughter is 6 years old, Mrs. Hayes. If I have to choose between protecting her and protecting a stranger, even a good stranger. His voice trailed off. What would you do? The question hung in the air. What would I do if it were Jason's life on the line? If some monster threatened to take my son, I'd burn the world down to save him. But that didn't make this right. There are other ways, I said quietly. Legal ways. The police? We tried. Daniel cut me off. Vincent has connections. The one time we talked to police, 2 days later, our car was firebombed, with a note, next time it's your house, with your daughter inside. He looked at me with hollow eyes. We stopped trying legal ways. Silence fell between us. I thought of Sophia humming in her room, of Jason driving toward the cathedral right now, nervous and happy, of Mia playing her role perfectly, about to stand at an altar and make vows she never intended to keep. Do you have proof? I asked. Any documentation of all this? Daniel disappeared into the bedroom. 30 seconds later, he returned carrying a worn manila folder. He spread the contents across the coffee table. First, the marriage certificate. Official, legal, undeniable. Daniel Rodriguez and Mia Thompson Rodriguez married 5 years ago in a small ceremony at the Fulton County Courthouse. Then Sophia's birth certificate. Parents Daniel and Mia Rodriguez. Photographs came next. Family pictures spanning years. Hospital photos with newborn Sophia. Christmas mornings, birthday parties, beach vacations, a complete life documented, a real marriage, a real family, everything Jason thought he was getting. But the text messages were what made my blood run cold. Printed conversations between Mia and an unknown number. The Hayes family is worth $50 million. Hotels' real estate investment portfolios. Once I'm in, we can access everything. Blake is perfect. Grieving, lonely, desperate for connection. He won't see it coming. I've researched every aspect of his life. I know exactly what to say, how to act, what will make him fall for me. After I marry him, we'll be protected. Vincent can't touch us once I have access to Hayes' accounts. And finally, the message that made me want to vomit, 1 year maximum. Then I'll leave him with just enough to not seem suspicious. He'll be heartbroken, but he'll survive. They always do. My hands trembled as I read them. How did you get these? I asked. I'm on the phone plan, Daniel said quietly. I was checking usage one night and saw the messages backing up to the cloud. She didn't realize I could see them. I looked up at him. And you still let her go through with this? His face crumpled with shame. What choice do I have? Vincent will take my daughter. Take her, Mrs. Hayes. Do you understand what that means? I did. God help me, I did. But I also understood what it meant to protect your child. And right now, 2 children needed protecting Sophia from Vincent's threats, and Jason from Mia's lies. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way to save them both. I pulled out my phone and called Frederick. Mrs. Hayes, I need you to contact Thomas Grant, your friend from the fraud division. I could hear the surprise in Frederick's voice. You want to bring in the police? Not yet, but I want him standing by. And Frederick, I paused. I need you to arrange something else. Security. Armed security. For Daniel and Sophia Rodriguez. Daniel's head snapped up. Mrs. Hayes, Frederick started. Just do it, I said. I'll explain later. How much time do we have? 35 minutes until the ceremony starts. I looked at Daniel Rodriguez, this broken, desperate father. Then at the folder full of evidence that could stop this wedding, and maybe, just maybe, bring down Vincent Kane in the process. Mr. Rodriguez, I said quietly, I want you to come to the church. Bring Sophia. Bring every piece of evidence in that folder. Vincent will be watching, Daniel said, fear naked in his voice. If I show up and ruin the plan, I will arrange protection for you and your daughter, starting today, and I will pay off your debt to Vincent Kane. Daniel's eyes went wide. You what? But only after we stop this wedding. Only after Jason is safe. Do we have a deal? He stared at me like I'd just offered him salvation. Why would you do this? He whispered. I thought of Robert, of his last words to me in that hospital room. Promise me you'll protect our boy. Promise me, Charlotte. Because my husband taught me something, Mr. Rodriguez. He said the measure of a person isn't what they do when it's easy. It's what they do when choosing right means losing everything. I stood smoothing my wrinkled dress. Sophia is innocent. You're desperate. I understand that. But my son is also innocent, and I will not let him be destroyed to save you. However, I paused. I believe we can save everyone, including your daughter. How? We expose Mia publicly, at the church, in front of everyone, with you and Sophia as living proof of her deception. Then we use that evidence to bring down Vincent Kane for extortion and threats against a minor. Daniel's hands shook. If this goes wrong, it won't. I'm Charlotte Hayes. I have resources you can't imagine, and I am very, very motivated. I handed him my card. Be at St. Philip's Cathedral in 30 minutes. Park in the back lot. Frederick will meet you there and take you somewhere safe until I signal. Can you do that? Daniel looked at the card, at the folder of evidence, at the hallway where his daughter played innocent and safe for now. The drive back to my house felt like moving through water. Everything slow, heavy, surreal. Frederick navigated Atlanta traffic with his usual precision, but I barely noticed. My mind kept replaying what I'd seen Mia kissing Daniel, Sophia calling her mommy. That folder of evidence spread across the coffee table like an indictment. Mrs. Hayes. Frederick's voice broke through my thoughts. We're here. The Buckhead mansion rose before us, red brick and white columns, magnolias blooming in the front yard. Home for 30 years. The place where Robert and I had built our life. Where Jason had taken his first steps. where every Christmas morning and birthday celebration had unfolded, where in just over an hour I would have to look my son in the eye and shatter his world. "Thank you, Frederick," I said quietly, "for everything, for being brave enough to show me." His eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. Mr. Robert made me promise. I couldn't break that promise. I knotted my throat too tight for words. Inside the house was alive with pre-wedding energy. I could hear voices upstairs, Jason and his best man Tyler getting ready, laughing about something. The sound of my son's happiness cut through me like broken glass. I went straight to my bedroom, locked the door, and sat on the edge of the bed. For exactly 10 seconds, I let myself feel it. The weight of what I was about to do. The knowledge that in protecting Jason, I would hurt him worse than anything since Robert's death. Then I stood up, walked to my closet, and got ready to go to war. 20 minutes later, I emerged from my bedroom looking exactly like what I was supposed to be, the proud mother of the groom. I'd fixed my makeup, smoothed my dress, put on the pearl necklace Robert had given me on our 25th anniversary. From the outside, I looked calm, composed, ready to celebrate. Inside, I was screaming. "Mom!" Jason appeared at the top of the stairs, struggling with his bow tie. His face lit up when he saw me. "Thank God. Can you help me with this? I've been fighting it for 10 minutes. My heart broke a little more. "Of course, sweetheart." I climbed the stairs, my heels clicking against marble. "Come here." In his bedroom, Tyler sat on the bed, already dressed in his groomsman suit, scrolling through his phone. He looked up and grinned. "Mrs. Hayes, you look beautiful." "Thank you, Tyler." Jason stood in front of the mirror, hands fumbling with the silk tie. I moved behind him, caught his eyes in the reflection. God, he looked so much like Robert. Same strong jawline, same kind eyes, same nervous energy before big moments. "Hold still," I said softly, reaching around to fix the tie. Jason watched me work. "Mom, I need to ask you something." My hands paused. "What is it? Do you think Mia's happy, really happy with me?" The question felt like a punch to the sternum. "Sweetheart," I said carefully, "what matters is whether you're happy." "I am." His voice was so earnest, so genuine. "She's everything I ever wanted, Mom. Smart, beautiful kind. After Dad died, I thought I'd never feel whole again. But Mia..." He paused, emotion catching in his throat. "She makes me feel like I can breathe." I had to look away, had to blink back tears. "She studied your grief," I wanted to scream. "She researched how to fill the hole your father left. She manufactured every moment you think is real. But I couldn't. Not yet. Not here." "There," I said instead, finishing the tie. "Perfect." Jason turned to face me. Dad would have liked her right. He would have been happy for me. I thought of Robert in that hospital bed, gripping my hand. "Promise me you'll protect our boy." "Your father," I said, choosing my words with surgical precision, "would want you to be with someone who truly loves you, who sees you for who you are, who would never ever hurt you." Jason's face softened. "That's Mia. Exactly." Tyler's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. "Hey, we need to head out in 5. The church is expecting us in 30 minutes. "Right." Jason took a deep breath, squared his shoulders. "Okay, let's do this." He kissed my forehead. "Thanks, Mom. For everything. For being strong after Dad died. For accepting Mia. For giving us your blessing." The irony of that word blessing nearly destroyed me. "I love you so much, Jason," I whispered. "More than you know." "I love you too, Mom." After they left, I sat alone in Jason's childhood bedroom. Posters from his teenage years still on the walls. Trophies from high school baseball on the shelves. Pictures of him with Robert, both of them smiling, unaware that time was shorter than they thought. My phone buzzed. "Frederick, Daniel Rodriguez en route to Cathedral. Thomas Grant standing by. Security team in position. We're ready when you are." I typed back, "See you there." Then I added, "And Fred, thank you for keeping your promise to Robert." His response came immediately. "Always, Mrs. Hayes. Always." I stood, smoothed my dress one final time, and headed downstairs. Through the front window, I saw Jason and Tyler loading into Tyler's car. They were laughing about something, Jason's face alight with happiness. "Enjoy it while you can, sweetheart," I thought. "Because in 90 minutes, I'm going to break your heart to save your life." St. Philip's Cathedral rose against the Atlanta skyline like a promise carved in stone. Gothic architecture, soaring spires, stained glass windows that had witnessed 100 years of weddings and funerals and everything in between. Robert and I had been married here 30 years ago. Jason had been baptized at that same altar. Now I was going to use it as a battlefield. I arrived 20 minutes before the ceremony was scheduled to start. The parking lot was already full, 300 guests, all dressed in their finest, all expecting a beautiful celebration. They had no idea what they were about to witness. Frederick met me at the entrance. "Mrs. Hayes, Mr. Rodriguez and Sophia are in the East Wing office. Thomas Grant is with them. The security team is in position. And Mia arrived 15 minutes ago. She's in the bridal preparation room." His expression darkened. "Apparently laughing with her bridesmaids. Very convincing performance." I bet it was. Inside the cathedral was breathtaking. Flowers everywhere, white roses and lilies cascading down the aisles, filling the air with their perfume. Sunlight streamed through those magnificent stained glass windows, casting jeweled patterns across marble floors. Everything perfect, exactly as Jason and Mia had planned. Charlotte, Walter Morrison, appeared, Robert's old business partner. Kind eyes, warm smile. "You look beautiful. Robert would be so proud." Would Robert be proud that I'd let this happen? That I'd ignored my instincts for 2 years while Mia wormed her way into our family? "Thank you, Walter," I managed. "That Mia is something special," he continued. "Smart, gracious, devoted to Jason. Your son found a real gem." My stomach twisted. Yes, she certainly made an impression. Around me, guests continued to arrive. Family friends, business associates, people Robert and I had known for decades. All smiling, all expecting to witness true love. Rebecca Lawson, my closest friend since college, pulled me aside. "Charlotte, how are you holding up? First wedding as a widow can't be easy." "I'm managing," I said. Rebecca studied my face. "You look tense. Is everything okay?" No, I wanted to say, everything is very much not okay, but I just smiled. "Wedding nerves, you know how it is." Tyler appeared looking slightly panicked. "Mrs. Hayes Jason's backstage having a minor meltdown. Can you?" "Of course." He led me to a small preparation room behind the altar. Jason stood in front of a mirror, his hands shaking as he tried to straighten his already perfect tie. "Sweetheart." He spun around. "Mom, I'm losing my mind here." "That's normal? Is it?" He laughed, but it came out shaky. "I just want everything perfect for her. For us." I stepped closer. The words I wanted to say burned in my throat. "She doesn't love you. She's using you. Run." Instead, I said, "Jason, I need you to know something." He looked at me, those eyes so much like Robert's. "No matter what happens today," I continued carefully, "I love you. Always. And everything I do is to protect you." His brow furrowed. "What could happen, Mom?" "Everything's perfect." "She's perfect." Perfect, I thought bitterly. That's exactly the problem. "I know, sweetheart. I just wanted you to hear it." He pulled me into a hug. "Thank you for being here. For supporting us. For being happy for me." Over his shoulder, my eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," I thought. "I'm so sorry for what's about to happen." The organ music swelled, filling every corner of St. Philip's Cathedral. I sat in the front row, exactly where I'd sat at my own wedding to Robert. The same carved wooden pew, the same view of the altar, but everything else was wrong. Jason stood at the front with Tyler beside him, both in perfectly tailored tuxedos. Reverend Patterson, who'd known our family for 30 years, waited between them, prayer book in hand. My son's face showed everything. Nervous anticipation, barely contained joy, eyes glistening with emotion as he kept glancing toward the back of the cathedral. Behind me, 300 people waited in rustling silence. The music shifted. Pachelbel's Canon in D, the processional. 4 bridesmaids appeared at the back of the church, floating down the aisle in lavender dresses. I recognized one of them, Kelly something, supposedly Mia's college roommate, though now I wondered if even that was real. Had Mia hired actresses to play her friends? How deep did the deception go? The bridesmaids took their positions. The music swelled higher. Then the doors at the back opened wider, and there she was. Mia. Even knowing what I knew, even hating what she was doing, I had to admit she was stunning. The wedding dress was perfection. White silk that caught the light-fitted bodice flowing into an elegant train. Veil cascading down her back like a waterfall. Bouquet of white roses clutched in her hands. She looked like every bride's dream. Like an angel descending. Like a predator approaching the kill. Whispers rippled through the guests. She's gorgeous. What a beautiful bride. They look perfect together. Mia began her walk down the aisle, each step slow and measured, timed perfectly to the music. Her smile was radiant, graceful, everything a bride should be. I watched her approach, thinking about what I'd seen this morning. Her kissing Daniel, Sophia calling her mommy, that folder full of evidence showing 2 years of calculated lies. She's very, very good at this. Mia passed each row, nodding graciously at guests. When she passed me, our eyes met for just a second. She smiled. "Thank you for everything, Mrs. Hayes." I smiled back. "Today will be a day you never forget, Mia. I promise you that." Something flickered in her expression. Confusion maybe, but she kept walking. At the altar, Jason stepped forward, hand extended. His face transformed when he saw her. Pure wonder. Pure love. He has no idea, I thought. No idea at all. Mia took his hand, stepped up beside him. Reverend Patterson's voice rang out warm and ceremonial. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Jason Hayes and Mia Rodriguez in holy matrimony." Rodriguez, I thought grimly. At least that part's true. "Marriage is a sacred bond," the Reverend continued, "built on trust, honesty, and love." Trust, honesty, love. The words felt like mockery. I sat perfectly still, hands folded in my lap, watching, waiting. Frederick was positioned near a side entrance, almost invisible unless you knew where to look. He caught my eye, gave the smallest nod. Ready. "Marriage is not to be entered into lightly," Reverend Patterson said, "but reverently, deliberately, and in accordance with the purposes for which it was instituted." Jason looked at Mia like she'd hung the moon and stars just for him. Mia's smile never wavered. But I noticed her fingers tightening on his hand just for a moment before relaxing again. She knows something's wrong, I realized. She just doesn't know what. The Reverend continued with the traditional readings. 1 Corinthians about love being patient and kind. Verses Jason had chosen because Robert used to quote them. Did Mia know that, I wondered? Did she research that too? Learn what would make Jason fall harder. The ceremony moved forward. Opening prayers. A blessing. Everything by the book. 300 people watched in rapt attention, expecting a fairy tale. I sat motionless, counting down the minutes. Jason and Mia stood side by side, looking absolutely perfect together. The handsome heir to a hotel fortune. The beautiful bride with her radiant smile. If you didn't know better, you'd think this was true love. But I did know better. And in about 30 seconds, everyone else would too. Reverend Patterson cleared his throat. His voice filled the cathedral, solemn and ceremonial. "If anyone here knows any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace." The traditional silence followed. The moment every ceremony has but no one ever fills. 1 second, 2, 3. Jason's shoulders relaxed slightly. He smiled at Mia. 4, 5. Mia's grip on his hand loosened, relief washing over her face. 6 seconds. I stood slowly. The sound of my movement fabric rustling the pew, creaking, echoed in the profound stillness. Every head in the cathedral turned toward me. Gasps erupted like a wave crashing. Shocked whispers exploded instantly. "What? Oh my God! Is that the mother of the groom?" Jason spun around, his face draining of color. "Mom!" I stepped into the center aisle. My voice came out clear, steady, undeniable. "I object. This wedding cannot proceed." Chaos erupted. 300 people surged to their feet. Gasps became shouts. Phones appeared already recording. Did she just— The mother objected. Jason stumbled down from the altar, his face a mask of confusion and horror. "Mom, what are you doing?" Tyler grabbed his arm. "Bro, I don't—" Jason shook him off. "This is my wedding day. What the hell is happening?" Mia's composure cracked. Her voice trembled, desperate. "Mrs. Hayes, this isn't appropriate. This isn't the time." "Oh, I think this is exactly the time," I said, my voice cutting through the noise. Reverend Patterson stood, frozen prayer book still open in his hands. Mrs. Hayes, this is I've never... Perhaps we should discuss this privately. No. I walked toward the altar, each step deliberate. My heels clicked against marble, the sound echoing in the sudden hush. Everyone needs to hear this. Every single person in this cathedral. Walter Morrison rose from his seat. Charlotte, what's going on? Rebecca reached for my arm. Charlotte, are you sure? I gently pulled away. I'm sorry to everyone gathered here. I know you came to celebrate, but this wedding cannot happen. Jason's voice broke. Mom, please. You're embarrassing yourself. Embarrassing all of us. Mia and I love each other. Do you? I stopped at the altar steps just below where he and Mia stood. My eyes locked on hers. Tell them, Mia. Tell everyone here why this wedding can't proceed. Mia's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. No. I opened my purse, pulled out my phone. Then maybe this will refresh your memory. I held up a photo, the one Frederick had taken this morning. Mia in casual clothes standing on the steps of that small yellow house. Daniel's arms around her. Sophia in her pink pajamas. More gasps. People pushing forward to see. That's not... Mia stammered. That's you this morning, I said quietly. At 1247 Maple Street, East Atlanta, the home you share with your husband. The cathedral exploded. Husband, she's married. Oh my God! Jason staggered backward. What no? Mom, that's crazy. Mia's never been married. We've been together 2 years. I would know her legal name. I continued, my voice rising to carry over the chaos. Is not Mia Thompson, it's Mia Rodriguez. She's been married to Daniel Rodriguez for 5 years. They have a 6-year-old daughter named Sophia. Lies. Mia's voice turned shrill. She's lying. She never wanted you to move on after your father died. She's trying to sabotage us because she can't let go. Then explain this. I pulled out the marriage certificate, held it high enough for the front rows to see. Official marriage license. Daniel Rodriguez and Mia Thompson Rodriguez. Dated June 15th, 5 years ago. Filed with Fulton County. Tyler snatched the paper from my hand, his eyes scanning. His face went gray. Holy shit, bro, this is real. Jason grabbed it, read it again. His hands started shaking. No, this has to be fake. Mia, tell them. Tell them this is fake. Mia opened her mouth. Nothing came out. And here, I continued, pulling out more documents, is Sophia's birth certificate. Mother Mia Rodriguez. Father Daniel Rodriguez. Born March 3rd, 2020. I looked directly at Mia now. Want to tell Jason why you were at that house this morning? Why a little girl called you mommy? Why a man kissed you and you kissed him back? Mia's knees buckled. She caught herself on the altar rail. The guests were in full uproar now, shouting, demanding answers. Someone yelled, "Call the police." Jason's face had gone from white to gray to a sickly green. Mia, look at me. Look at me. She raised her eyes to his. Is this true? His voice broke completely. Do you have a husband, a daughter? 1 second, 2, 3. Mia's silence was answer enough. Jason made a sound, not quite a scream, not quite a sob, something animal and broken. How? He whispered. How could you? We were together for 2 years. How could you lie for 2 entire years? I didn't want to. Mia's tears started flowing. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice, I snapped. No! Mia spun on me, mascara running down her face. You don't understand. Vincent Kane was going to take my daughter. He was going to sell her. I did what I had to do to protect my child. The cathedral fell silent. Who's Vincent Kane? Walter demanded. A loan shark, I said quietly. Mia and her husband owe him $800,000. If they don't pay by the end of this year, he's threatened to kidnap their daughter. Horrified gasps rippled through the crowd. So you thought you'd solve that? I continued, my voice hard. By destroying my son, by researching our family's wealth, by creating a fake identity and manipulating Jason into falling in love with you. Jason's voice came out hoarse. Is that true? Did you research me before we met? Mia's silence answered again. The charity gala, Jason said slowly, realization dawning. You said you volunteered there because your mother died of cancer. You said you understood loss. Was that all? Was any of it real? I had to protect Sophia, Mia sobbed. Answer the question. Jason's voice boomed through the cathedral. Did you love me ever, or was I just a mark? Mia looked at him, tears streaming, and for a moment I thought she might tell the truth. Then she collapsed, sank to her knees at the altar, the beautiful white dress pooling around her. The bouquet fell from her hands, white roses scattering across marble. Her sobs echoed off the vaulted ceiling. Jason stood frozen, staring down at her. Tyler had an arm around his shoulders, keeping him upright. Reverend Patterson finally found his voice. I cannot continue this ceremony. I've never encountered... I kept my eyes on Mia. You owe him an explanation. You owe all of us. Why, Jason, out of everyone in Atlanta, why did you target my son? Mia looked up, mascara black streaks down her face. Because he was perfect, she whispered. Rich enough to solve our problems, kind enough to fall fast, grieving enough to be vulnerable. I read every article about your family. I learned about Robert's death. I figured out what Jason cared about, what would make him trust me. And I became exactly what he needed. Jason made that broken sound again. 2 years, he said. 2 years of my life. Every kiss. Every I love you. Every time you held me when I cried about Dad. All of it was what an audition, a con. I'm sorry, Mia reached for him. Jason, I'm so sorry. He stepped back like her touch would burn him. Did you love me? He asked again, his voice deadly quiet. At all. Mia's mouth opened, closed, the silence stretched. Answer him, I said softly. More silence. Answer him, Walter's voice boomed. Mia looked down at her hands. At the engagement ring Jason had given her, his grandmother's ring, a Hayes family heirloom. No, she finally whispered. I cared about you. You're a good person. But love, no. I'm sorry. The truth hung in the air like poison. Jason swayed. Tyler caught him before he fell. There's one more thing. Frederick's voice cut through the chaos. He stood at the side entrance, one hand on the door handle. Mrs. Hayes requested that Mr. Daniel Rodriguez join us, along with his daughter. Mia's head snapped up. No, Daniel, don't. Too late. The door opened. Daniel Rodriguez stepped into St. Philip's Cathedral, holding Sophia's hand. Sophia wore a pink dress today, not pajamas. Her blonde curls were done up with ribbons. She looked around at all the people with wide, wondering eyes. Daddy, she said in that carrying voice only children have, why are all these people here? It's okay, sweetheart, Daniel said quietly. Just stay close to Daddy. They walked down the side aisle. 300 people tracked their every step. Sophia's eyes found Mia at the altar, still kneeling in her wedding dress. The little girl's face lit up with pure, innocent delight. Mommy, she broke free from Daniel's hand and ran, pink dress, flying ribbons bouncing straight toward Mia. Mommy, you look like a princess. The cathedral erupted again, louder this time. Phones recording, people standing on pews to see better. Oh my God, that child called her Mommy. This is insane. Sophia threw her arms around Mia's neck. Mia caught her, automatically sobbing harder. Daniel reached the front of the cathedral. He looked at Jason with genuine sympathy. My name is Daniel Rodriguez, he said, his voice shaking but clear. Mia Thompson Rodriguez is my wife. We've been legally married for 5 years. He gestured to Sophia. That's our daughter. She's 6 years old. Jason's knees finally gave out. He sank onto the altar steps, head in his hands. We have a home together, Daniel continued. On Maple Street in East Atlanta. We share a bank account. We file taxes together. We are a family. He paused, looking at Mia with something that might have been pity. And we owe a very dangerous man a lot of money. Mia thought marrying into your family would solve that problem. Walter Morrison stood. How much money? $800,000, Daniel said. To a loan shark named Vincent Kane. He's threatened to kidnap Sophia if we don't pay by December 31st. Shocked murmurs ran through the crowd. Daniel looked at Jason directly. I'm sorry. You seem like a genuinely good man. You didn't deserve this. But when someone threatens your child, his voice broke. You do desperate things. Jason didn't respond, didn't move, just sat there staring at nothing. Tyler crouched beside him. Bro, Jason, talk to me, man. Nothing. Sophia, oblivious to the adult drama, tugged on Mia's veil. Mommy, are you getting married? Can I be a flower girl? The innocent question shattered something in the room. Mia pressed her face against Sophia's hair shoulders, heaving with sobs. I stepped forward. "Mr. Rodriguez, do you have the other documents I requested?" Daniel pulled a folder from his jacket. "All of it. Text messages, emails, her research on the Hayes family. Everything." I took the folder, opened it, pulled out printed screenshots. "Text message from Mia to Vincent Kane," I read aloud. "After today, we'll have access to everything. Jason will add me to his accounts within 48 hours. Jason's head came up. "You were going to steal from me." "Not steal," Mia said desperately. "Borrow. I was going to pay it back." "Liar." I slammed the folder down. "You planned to take $1 million and disappear. You told Vincent Kane you'd divorce Jason after 6 months and vanish with the money." I pulled out another printout. "Email to yourself dated 3 months ago. Hayes Hotel Group estimated worth $50 million. Primary account holders, Charlotte Hayes and Jason Hayes. Marriage would give access to joint accounts, credit lines, potential trust funds." The guests were beyond shock now. This had gone from dramatic to criminal. "You researched my family like a target," I said, my voice shaking with fury. "You studied my son's grief. You learned about Robert's charity work and positioned yourself at that gala. You manufactured every moment of your relationship based on calculated lies." Mia looked up, Sophia still in her arms. "I had no choice. Vincent was going to take my daughter." "There are always choices," I shouted. "You could have gone to the police, filed for bankruptcy, asked for help from legitimate sources. Instead, you chose to destroy my son." "The police can't protect us," Daniel said quietly. "We tried. Vincent has connections. Our car was firebombed. He left a note threatening to burn our house down with Sophia inside." Walter's face hardened. "Where is this Vincent Kane now?" A new voice spoke from the back of the cathedral. "In custody." Everyone turned. A man in a dark suit walked down the center aisle, badge visible on his belt. "Detective Thomas Grant, Atlanta PD Fraud Division. Vincent Kane was arrested approximately 30 minutes ago outside this church. He's being held on charges of extortion, illegal loan sharking, and making terroristic threats against a minor." Relief flooded Daniel's face. He's arrested. We've been building a case against him for 18 months, Detective Grant said. Mrs. Hayes' evidence gave us what we needed to move today. He's not going to hurt anyone ever again." Mia stared. "Vincent is gone?" "Yes," I said quietly. "Your daughter is safe, Mia. As of right now, Vincent Kane can never touch her." "But I still—" Mia looked around wildly. "We still owe—" "I'm paying your debt," I said. The cathedral fell silent. "What?" Daniel breathed. "I'm paying the $800,000, plus legal fees for your divorce from Mia if that's what you choose, plus money for Sophia's education." I paused. "Because Sophia is innocent, and because destroying you won't help my son heal." Jason's head came up. "Mom, what are you—" "But Mia," I continued, ignoring him, "you will face consequences for what you've done." Detective Grant stepped forward. "Mia Rodriguez, you're under arrest for marriage fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit financial fraud." He pulled out handcuffs. Mia's face crumpled. She looked down at Sophia, who was starting to understand something was very wrong. "Mommy," Sophia's voice trembled. "Why is that man—" "It's okay, baby." Mia kissed her daughter's forehead. "Mommy has to go away for a little while, but Daddy's going to take care of you." "I don't want you to go." "I know, sweetheart, I know." Daniel took Sophia gently from Mia's arms. The little girl started crying, confused, scared, not understanding why her mother was being taken away. Detective Grant helped Mia stand. The beautiful white wedding dress was stained now, mascara-streaked and wrinkled. He cuffed her hands behind her back. The metallic click echoed through the silent cathedral. Mia looked back at Jason one last time. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For whatever it's worth, I never wanted to hurt you this badly." Jason stared at her, his face completely expressionless. "Don't," he said, his voice dead. "Just don't." Detective Grant led Mia down the aisle, past 300 shocked witnesses, past the flowers and the candles and all the trappings of a wedding that would never happen. The doors closed behind her with a heavy thud. For a long moment, no one moved. No one spoke. Then Jason stood slowly, like a man moving underwater. He looked around at the cathedral, at the guests, At the altar where he'd been about to say vows to a woman who'd never loved him. His eyes found mine. "Mom," he said. His voice cracked. "How long have you known?" "Since this morning. Frederick discovered it 2 weeks ago, but confirmed everything today." "And you didn't tell me—" I stepped closer. "Would you have believed me if I'd told you yesterday, last week?" Jason's face crumpled. "No, God help me, no. I would have chosen her over you." "I know, sweetheart. That's why I waited. Because you needed to see it. To hear it from her own mouth." Jason looked at Daniel, still holding crying Sophia. "Is it true about Vincent, the threats?" "Every word," Daniel said quietly. "I'm not proud of what we did, but my daughter's life was at stake." Jason nodded slowly. Then he walked over to them. For a moment I thought he might hit Daniel. Instead, he knelt down to Sophia's level. "Hey," he said gently. "What's your name?" "Sophia," she hiccuped through tears. "That's a pretty name. I'm Jason." "Are you mad at my mommy?" Jason's face worked. "Yeah, I am. But that's not your fault. Okay, none of this is your fault." He stood, looked at Daniel. "Take care of your daughter. She's innocent in all this." "I will," Daniel promised. Jason turned and walked back toward me. When he reached my side, his legs finally gave out completely. I caught him, held him as he broke apart, and standing there in St. Philip's Cathedral, surrounded by 300 witnesses, my son sobbed like his heart was shattering. Because it was. The cathedral emptied slowly. 300 guests filed out in stunned silence, their whispers echoing off marble floors. Some looked back at us with pity, others with shock. A few, with their phones still recording, already posting to social media. By tonight, this would be everywhere. I didn't care. Jason sat on the altar steps where he should have been married, still in his tuxedo, head in his hands. Tyler sat beside him, one arm around his shoulders, saying nothing. Sometimes there are no words. Walter Morrison approached carefully. "Charlotte, if there's anything you need—" "Thank you, Walter. I'll call you tomorrow." He nodded, squeezed my shoulder, left. Rebecca was the last to leave. She hugged me tight, whispered in my ear, "You did the right thing. Robert would be so proud." I hoped so. God, I hoped so. When we were finally alone, just me, Jason, Tyler, and Frederick standing discreetly by the door, the silence felt suffocating. "Jason," I said softly, "Sweetheart, we should go home." He didn't respond, didn't move. Tyler looked at me helplessly. "Mrs. Hayes, I don't think he's hearing anything right now." I sat down on the steps beside my son, put my hand on his back. "I know it hurts," I said quietly. "I know it feels like your whole world just collapsed, but you're going to survive this." Jason's voice came out raw, barely above a whisper. "How? The same way I survived losing your father, one breath at a time, 1 minute at a time. And then one day you wake up and realize you made it through the night. Dad died, Mom. He didn't choose to leave you. Mia—" His voice broke completely. "She looked me in the eye for 2 years and lied. Every kiss, every I love you, every time I told her about Dad, about how much I missed him, she just used it. Used my grief like a weapon." I had no answer for that, because he was right. "She knew," Jason continued, his voice rising. "She knew I was vulnerable. She researched it, studied how to exploit it." "What kind of person does that?" "A desperate one," I said quietly. "That doesn't excuse it. But Mia wasn't evil, Jason. She was terrified. When Vincent Kane threatened Sophia, she stopped thinking clearly. She made terrible choices. She made choices that destroyed me." Jason stood abruptly. "Stop defending her." "I'm not defending her. I'm trying to help you understand so you can eventually forgive." "Forgive." Jason spun to face me. "You want me to forgive the woman who spent 2 years conning me, who was planning to steal from us and disappear?" "No," I said calmly. "I want you to forgive yourself." That stopped him. "What the—" "You're going to blame yourself for this," I said. "You're going to replay every moment looking for signs you missed. You're going to call yourself stupid for not seeing through her. And I'm telling you right now, stop. This wasn't your fault." Jason's eyes filled with tears. "I should have known. Tyler said something felt off. You probably knew from the beginning." "I had suspicions," I admitted. "But I ignored them too, because I wanted you to be happy. Because after Robert died, seeing you smile again was... I paused. I failed you too, Jason. I should have investigated sooner. You saved me, Jason said hoarsely. If you hadn't stood up today, I'd be married to her right now. She'd have access to everything. By next week, she could have drained accounts, taken out loans in my name. He sat back down heavily. Oh God, she could have destroyed everything Dad built. But she didn't, because we stopped her. Jason looked at me, really looked at me for the first time since the ceremony collapsed. You stood up in front of 300 people, he said. You were willing to have everyone think you were crazy. You risked me hating you, all to protect me. Always, I said simply. I promised your father I'd protect you. I don't break promises to Robert. Jason broke down again. I held him while he cried, this grown man who'd just had his heart shattered, sobbing like the little boy who used to crawl into my lap after nightmares. Tyler stood quietly. I'm going to give you guys some space. Jason, I'll be at your place later, okay? We'll get through this, bro. After he left, Frederick approached. Mrs. Hayes, Detective Grant needs statements from you and Mr. Jason. He can come to the house this evening if that's easier. Thank you, Frederick. That would be better. And Mrs. Hayes, Frederick's voice softened. Mr. Robert would be very proud of what you did today. My throat tightened. I hope so, Fred. I really hope so. The Buckhead mansion felt like a mausoleum. Jason locked himself in his childhood bedroom that first night. I heard him moving around at 3 a.m, pacing, probably unable to sleep. I knocked softly. Go away, Mom. I'm leaving food outside your door. Please eat something. No response. By morning, the food was still there, untouched. Day 2 was worse. Jason wouldn't come out, wouldn't shower. Tyler came by with clean clothes, knocked for 20 minutes. Nothing. Mrs. Hayes, this isn't healthy, Tyler said, worried. He's not even answering texts. I knew. I'd been standing outside his door multiple times, listening to the silence, wondering if I'd done the right thing. You saved him from financial ruin, I told myself. From years trapped in a fraudulent marriage. You did the right thing. But watching my son suffer, I started to doubt. Day 3, I'd had enough. I used my master key to unlock Jason's door. He was lying in bed, still wearing his tuxedo pants and undershirt, staring at the ceiling. The room smelled stale. Jason Hayes, I said firmly. Get up. Leave me alone. No. I walked to the windows, threw open the curtains. Sunlight flooded in. Jason winced. You need to shower. You need to eat. And you need to stop drowning in this. Why? His voice was hollow. What's the point? I sat on the edge of his bed. The point is you're still alive. Still here. And I didn't fight this hard to save you. Just to watch you give up. I don't want to be here, Jason whispered. I don't want to feel this. My heart clenched. Jason, are you saying, I'm not going to hurt myself, he said quickly. I'm not Dad. I'm not going to have a heart attack and leave you alone. He pressed his palms against his eyes. I just want it to stop hurting. I took his hand. I know, sweetheart. After your father died, I felt the same way. Like someone had carved out my chest and left a hole that would never fill. But it does get better. Slowly. So slowly you don't notice at first. But it does. How long did it take you? I thought about that. I still miss him every day. But the sharp pain, the part that made it hard to breathe, that took about 6 months to ease. Jason laughed bitterly. 6 months. Great. But you won't do it alone. I didn't. I had you. And you have me. Jason finally looked at me. His eyes were red, swollen, exhausted. I really loved her, Mom. Even knowing it was all fake, part of me still. He couldn't finish. I know. That's the cruelest part. Your feelings were real, even if hers weren't. Jason sat up slowly. Everyone at the wedding saw me break down. Tyler said it's all over social media. Atlanta Air's wedding turns into fraud investigation. We're a circus. Let them talk. People who matter will understand. Do they... Jason's voice turned bitter. Or do they think I'm an idiot who couldn't spot a con artist? They think you're human, capable of love and trust. Those aren't weaknesses, Jason. He stood, walked to the window. The Atlanta skyline stretched before us, the city where Robert had built our empire, where Jason was supposed to build his future. I don't know how to move forward, he said quietly. Everything I planned was with her. The hotel expansion in Miami, we were going to run it together. The house we were looking at in Ansley Park. The trip to Italy for our honeymoon. Everything involved her. Then we'll make new plans. Different ones. Better ones. Jason turned to face me. You really think I'll recover from this? I know you will, because you're Robert Hayes' son, and Hayes men don't stay down. For the first time in 3 days, Jason smiled. Just a small one, barely there. But it was something. Okay, he said. I'll shower, eat something. But Mom, yes, don't ask me to forgive her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I won't. That's your journey to make when you're ready. After he finally showered and came downstairs, I made him his favorite breakfast, the same French toast Robert used to make on Sunday mornings. Jason ate mechanically, but at least he ate. Frederick appeared in the dining room doorway. Mrs. Hayes, Detective Grant is here with an update. Should I show him in, please? Detective Grant entered, looking professionally sympathetic. Mr. Hayes, Mrs. Hayes, I wanted to update you on the case. Is she in jail? Jason's voice was flat. Yes. Mia Rodriguez is being held without bail. The prosecutor is building a case for marriage fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit grand larceny and falsifying documents. She's facing up to 10 years. Jason absorbed this. And Vincent Kane, federal charges. Illegal loan sharking, extortion, making terroristic threats against a minor. He's looking at 20 years minimum. Grant paused. Your evidence, Mrs. Hayes, helped us connect him to 14 other cases. You potentially saved a lot of families. I nodded. That was something at least. There will be a trial in approximately 3 months, Grant continued. You'll both need to testify. Jason's hands clenched. I have to see her again. I'm afraid so, but we'll make it as brief as possible. After Grant left, Jason pushed his plate away. 3 months. I have to wait 3 months to put this behind me. No, I said gently. You start putting it behind you today. The trial is just paperwork. Healing starts now. Dr. Patricia Williams came highly recommended, a trauma specialist who'd worked with fraud victims before. Jason resisted at first. I don't need therapy, Mom. I need a time machine. Humor me. 1 session. That first session, I sat in the waiting room for 90 minutes wondering what was happening behind that closed door. When Jason emerged, his eyes were red but somehow clearer. She wants to see you too, he said. Family session. 2 days later, we sat in Dr. Williams' office together. Cream-colored walls, comfortable chairs, a box of tissues prominently displayed. Jason's been telling me about the wedding, Dr. Williams said. She was maybe 50 kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Charlotte, can you tell me why you chose to object publicly rather than privately? I'd thought about this. A lot. Because Mia was very good at manipulation, I said. If I'd told Jason privately, even with evidence, she would have explained it away, made me seem paranoid, driven a wedge between us. I needed him to see it, to hear the truth from her own mouth. Dr. Williams nodded. And how do you feel about that choice now? Conflicted, I admitted. I saved Jason from financial and emotional catastrophe, but I also humiliated him in front of 300 people. I'm not humiliated, Jason said quietly. I mean, I was, but now I'm just grateful. If you hadn't stopped it, he trailed off. Jason, Doctor, Williams said gently, what did you love about Mia? The question seemed to catch him off guard. She made me feel whole again after Dad died, like I could breathe. Did she make you feel whole? Or did you want to feel whole and she happened to be there? Jason stared at her. I could see the wheels turning. He stopped, started again. I was so lonely after Dad died. The grief was suffocating. And then Mia appeared and she said all the right things and I felt less alone. So you fell in love with how she made you feel, rather than who she actually was. Jason's face crumpled with realization. I don't even know who she actually was. Everything was a performance. Not everything, Dr. Williams said. The woman you saw at the cathedral breaking down, the mother holding her daughter, that was real. Mia Rodriguez is a real person who made terrible choices, but she's not a cartoon villain. She's complicated. Why does that matter? Jason asked. Because if you reduce her to a monster, you'll never process what happened. You'll just stay angry. Dr. Williams leaned forward. Your feelings were real, Jason. Your love was real. The fact that she couldn't return it doesn't diminish what you felt. Jason was quiet for a long moment. Can I ask you something? He finally said. Of course. Am I ever going to trust anyone again? Dr. Williams smiled sadly. Yes, but it's going to take time and work. You'll need to rebuild your ability to trust slowly, carefully, like physical therapy after an injury. How long? Everyone's different. But Jason, I want you to understand something crucial. Mia's betrayal says everything about her and nothing about you. Your capacity to love, to trust, to be vulnerable, those are beautiful qualities. Don't let her steal that from you. 2 weeks after the failed wedding, Daniel Rodriguez appeared at our front door. Sophia stood beside him holding his hand, wearing a yellow sundress. Mr. Rodriguez, I said, surprised. I wasn't expecting you. I know. I'm sorry to just show up, but I needed to... He paused. I needed to thank you properly. And Sophia wanted to come. Jason appeared behind me. He froze when he saw them. Jason, Daniel said quietly. I understand if you don't want to see me, but I had to try. Jason stared at Sophia, the little girl who'd called Mia Mommy at the cathedral, the innocent child caught in this disaster. Hi, Sophia said shyly. Are you Jason? Yeah, Jason managed. I am. Mommy talked about you a lot. She said you were really nice. Jason's jaw clenched, but he knelt down to Sophia's level. What did your mommy say about me? That you were kind, and that you made her laugh, and that you would help keep us safe from the bad man. Sophia's face scrunched up. But Mommy had to go away. Daddy says she made a mistake. Jason looked up at Daniel. The two men locked eyes. She made a lot of mistakes, Jason said carefully. But none of them are your fault, Sophia. Okay, Sophia smiled. You seem nice. Mommy was right about that. Something in Jason's expression shifted. We invited them in. Frederick brought lemonade. We sat in the formal living room, the same room where Mia had charmed our family at countless dinners. How is she? Jason asked finally. Mia. Daniel looked surprised by the question. Struggling. The jail won't let Sophia visit, she's too young. Mia calls every day to talk to her for 5 minutes. He paused. It's destroying her being separated. Good, Jason said flatly. Then he looked at Sophia, who was examining a crystal vase on the side table. Sorry, that was harsh. It was honest, Daniel said. And you have every right to hate her, to hate me. I don't hate you, Jason said, surprising himself. You were trying to protect your daughter. I understand that. But I went along with it, Daniel said. I knew what Mia was doing. I should have stopped her, found another way. Instead, I let her destroy your life. Jason was quiet for a moment. Did you love her, Mia? Yes, I still do. She's Sophia's mother. She made a terrible choice, but she did it because Vincent Kane threatened the most important thing in the world to her. Daniel looked at his daughter. I'm not excusing what she did, but I understand why. Mrs. Hayes said you're getting divorced. Yes, the lawyer you provided has been incredibly helpful. The divorce should be final in about 6 months. And then what? Daniel managed a small smile. Then Sophia and I start over. New city, maybe. Fresh start. Away from all the memories of what happened here. Sophia had wandered over to the piano, Robert's piano, the one Jason used to play when he was younger. Can I try? She asked. Sure, sweetheart, Jason said. Sophia climbed onto the bench, too small for her feet to reach the pedals. She pressed random keys, creating a discordant melody, but she was delighted with herself. I'm playing music, she announced. Jason watched her, and for the first time since the cathedral, I saw something other than pain on his face. She's a good kid, he said quietly to Daniel. She is, and she deserves better than what we put her through. Mrs. Hayes is paying off your debt to Vincent, Jason said. Did you know that? Yes, the $800,000 plus legal fees plus a college fund for Sophia. Daniel's voice thick with emotion. I don't know how to repay that. You don't, I said. You take care of that little girl. You give her a good life. That's how you repay it. Daniel looked at me with tears in his eyes. Why, after what we did to your family, why would you help us? Because Sophia is innocent, I said simply, and because my husband taught me that punishing children for their parents' mistakes is the worst kind of cruelty. Jason stood, walked to the piano. He sat beside Sophia on the bench. "Want me to show you a real song?" he asked. Sophia's eyes went wide. "Yes." Jason started playing Chopsticks, the simplest melody. Sophia giggled, tried to copy him. Together they made something that almost resembled music. And watching my son smile at this innocent child, I realized something healing wasn't about forgetting what happened. It was about choosing not to let it poison everything that came after. 3 months later, we sat in Fulton County Superior Court. The courtroom was packed. Media in the back rows, sketching artists ready. This had become Atlanta's scandal of the year. Mia sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, looking nothing like the radiant bride from that day. Her hair was pulled back simply. No makeup, no pretense. Just a woman facing the consequences of her choices. When she saw Jason, her face crumpled. She mouthed something that might have been, "I'm sorry." Jason looked away. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Catherine Torres, laid out the case methodically. Marriage fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit grand larceny, falsifying documents. Mia Rodriguez didn't just lie to Jason Hayes, Torres said in her opening statement. She constructed an elaborate multi-year deception designed to steal from him and his family. She researched his vulnerabilities. She exploited his grief. She manufactured a relationship based entirely on calculation, not emotion. The defense attorney, a public defender who looked overwhelmed, tried to paint Mia as a desperate mother. "My client made terrible choices," he admitted. "But those choices came from a place of fear. Vincent Kane threatened to kidnap and sell her 6-year-old daughter. What would any of you do to protect your child?" I was called to testify first. Torres led me through the discovery how Frederick had found inconsistencies, how we'd followed Mia to Daniel's house, what I'd witnessed. "Mrs. Hayes, why did you wait until the wedding ceremony to expose this?" "Because my son wouldn't have believed me otherwise," I said. "Mia Rodriguez is extremely skilled at manipulation. If I'd told Jason privately, she would have explained it away. I needed him to see the truth undeniably." The defense attorney cross-examined. "Mrs. Hayes, isn't it true you never liked Mia Rodriguez?" "I had concerns about her," I admitted. "But I tried to support my son's happiness. Until you decided to humiliate him publicly. I decided to save him from fraud and financial ruin," I said firmly. "That's not humiliation. That's protection." Jason testified next. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. Torres asked him to describe the relationship. Jason spoke about meeting Mia at the charity gala, falling in love, planning their future. "When did you discover the truth?" "At the altar," Jason said. My mother stood up and objected. At first I thought she'd lost her mind, but then she showed the evidence. The marriage certificate, the photos, and then Mia's husband walked in with their daughter. "How did that make you feel?" Jason's composure cracked. Like everything I'd believed for 2 years was a lie. Like I'd been living in a fantasy while she was planning to rob me blind. The defense attorney tried to humanize Mia. "Mr. Hayes, do you believe my client genuinely cared about you?" Jason thought about that. "I think she cared about what I could provide. Security, money, protection from Vincent Kane. But love, no." Finally, Mia took the stand. She looked smaller somehow, defeated. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible. "Ms. Rodriguez, did you marry Daniel Rodriguez 5 years ago?" "Yes." "Did you have a daughter with him named Sophia?" "Yes." "Did you create a false identity to pursue a relationship with Jason Hayes?" Mia's voice cracked. "Yes." "Why?" "Because Vincent Kane was going to take my daughter. He showed me pictures of what he does to children whose parents don't pay. He threatened to burn our house down with Sophia inside. I was terrified." "So you decided to commit fraud?" "I decided to do whatever it took to save my child." Mia looked at Jason. "I know that doesn't excuse what I did. I know Jason didn't deserve it. He's a good person, a kind person. I took advantage of that, and I will regret it for the rest of my life." Torres cross-examined ruthlessly. "Ms. Rodriguez, when you researched the Hayes family's wealth, was that to protect your daughter?" "I needed to know if yes or no. Was researching their financial holdings necessary to protect Sophia?" "No." "When you created email accounts to study Jason Hayes' public interviews, was that to protect your daughter?" "I needed to know how to yes or no." "No." "When you lied to Jason Hayes about your mother dying of cancer, was that to protect your daughter?" Mia's face was wet with tears. No, you made calculated, deliberate choices to deceive and defraud the Hayes family. Correct. Yes. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. We waited in a side room, me, Jason, Walter, Frederick. Jason paced like a caged animal. What if they let her go? He said. What if they decide she was justified because of Vincent? They won't, Walter said. The evidence is overwhelming. Finally, the bailiff called us back. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. The forewoman stood. On the charge of marriage fraud, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of identity theft, guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit grand larceny, guilty. On the charge of falsifying legal documents, guilty. Mia's head dropped. Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. The judge looked at her with something that might have been pity. Ms. Rodriguez, you have been found guilty on all counts. However, the court recognizes the extraordinary circumstances that led to your actions. Vincent Kane's threats against your child were real and terrifying. He paused. I hereby sentence you to 5 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 3 years contingent on good behavior. Additionally, you will be required to complete psychological counseling and financial fraud education courses. 5 years. Mia would miss the next 5 years of Sophia's childhood. As they led her away, Mia looked back at Jason one last time. This time he met her eyes. I couldn't read his expression. Anger, pity, relief, maybe all three. 6 months after the trial, Jason walked into my office at Hayes Hotel Group headquarters. He looked different, healthier. The haunted look had faded from his eyes. Mom, I need to talk to you about something. Of course. Sit. He settled into the chair across from my desk, Robert's old desk, the one I'd taken over after he died. I've been thinking about the Miami expansion, Jason said. The hotel project we were planning. My heart sank. That had been something he and Mia were going to do together. Jason, if it's too painful... It's not, he interrupted. Or rather it was. But Dr. Williams helped me see that I can't let Mia's betrayal stop me from building the life I want. So I want to move forward with Miami. But I want to do it differently. How? I want to partner with someone trustworthy, someone with hospitality experience who I know has integrity. He paused. I want to ask Emma Lawson. I blinked. Rebecca's daughter, the pediatric surgeon. She's been looking to transition out of medicine, she told me at that fundraiser last month. She has a business degree from Emory, and Mom, she's... He searched for words. She's real, no pretense, no calculation. Just genuine. I studied my son carefully. Are you interested in her romantically? I don't know yet. Maybe someday. But right now I just want to work with someone I can trust. And I trust Emma. Then ask her, I said. I think it's a wonderful idea. Jason smiled a real smile, the first in months. There's something else, he said. I've been visiting Sophia. That surprised me. Daniel's daughter? Yeah. He sends me photos sometimes, updates on how she's doing. Last month I asked if I could visit. We went to the zoo. Jason's expression softened. She's a great kid, Mom. Smart, funny, completely innocent in all this. How did that feel? Strange at first, but then I realized Sophia lost her mother too, in a way. Mia chose prison over being honest. That little girl is paying for her mother's choices. He paused. I've been thinking about setting up a proper trust fund for her. Beyond what you already gave them. For college medical expenses, whatever she needs. My throat tightened. Your father would be so proud of you. I think he'd understand that punishing a child for her parents' mistakes isn't justice. It's cruelty. I stood, walked around the desk, pulled Jason into a hug. You're going to be okay, I whispered. Better than okay. I know. It took a while, but I'm starting to believe that. The grand opening of Hayes Hotel Miami was everything we'd dreamed. Beachfront property Art Deco design, 300 rooms of luxury accommodations. The lobby gleamed with marble and gold accents. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the Atlantic Ocean sparkled in afternoon sunlight. Jason stood at the entrance greeting guests. Emma Lawson beside him, looking professional in a tailored suit. They'd developed a good working relationship over the past year. Maybe it would become something more. Someday, maybe not. But they worked well together. Tyler was there, of course. And Walter, Rebecca, Frederick in his best suit looking proud as any father. And in the corner, almost unnoticed, Daniel Rodriguez with Sophia. I'd invited them personally. Jason had supported it. Sophia was 7 now, taller, her blonde curls longer. She wore a blue dress and held her father's hand, looking around with wide eyes. "Mr. Jason," she called when she saw him. Jason's face lit up. He excused himself from the executives he'd been talking to and walked over. "Sophia, you made it. Daddy said you built this whole hotel. Well, a lot of people helped, but yeah, I helped design it. It's so pretty." Sophia spun around, taking it all in. Like a palace. Jason knelt down to her level. "Want to see something cool? We have a kids' club upstairs with video games and a movie theater." Really. Ask your dad if you can go check it out." Daniel smiled. "Go ahead, sweetheart. I'll be right here." After Sophia ran off with one of the hotel staff, Daniel turned to Jason. "Thank you for inviting us. You didn't have to." "I wanted to," Jason said. Sophia deserves to see good things happen, to know that people can build something positive even after everything falls apart. "How are you doing?" Daniel asked carefully. "Really?" Jason considered the question. "Better. Not perfect. I still have days where I'm angry about what happened, but I'm learning to live with it." "Mia asks about you," Daniel said quietly. "In her letters. She wants to know if you're okay." Jason's jaw tightened. "What do you tell her?" "The truth. That you're rebuilding your life. That you're stronger than she gave you credit for." "Do you still talk to her?" "For Sophia's sake. She calls once a week to talk to our daughter." Daniel paused. "I'm not going to defend what Mia did, but she does love Sophia. That was always real." "I know," Jason said. "Dr. Williams helped me understand that Mia isn't a monster. She's a person who made catastrophic choices. I can accept that without forgiving her." "That's fair." Emma approached, smiling. "Jason, the mayor's here. We should do the ribbon cutting in 5 minutes." "Be right there." He turned back to Daniel. "Enjoy the party, and tell Sophia she can visit the kids' club any time." As Jason walked away, I approached Daniel. "How are you managing?" I asked. "Better than I expected. The job you helped me get is stable. Sophia's in a good school. We moved to a better neighborhood." He paused. "I'll never be able to repay what you did for us, Mrs. Hayes." "You already are," I said, watching Sophia through the window, playing with other children. "You're raising a good kid. That's enough." The ribbon-cutting ceremony was beautiful. Jason and Emma stood together with oversized scissors, cameras flashing. Walter made a speech about Robert's legacy and how proud he'd be. When it was Jason's turn to speak, he looked out at the crowd, business partners, friends, family, staff. "A year ago," he said, "I was in a very dark place. Some of you know what happened. How close I came to making the biggest mistake of my life." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. This was the first time Jason had addressed it publicly. But someone who loved me more than I loved myself stepped in. My mother stood up when it mattered most and saved me. He looked directly at me. "Mom, this hotel exists because you taught me that we don't let our worst moments define us. We learn from them and build something better." My eyes filled with tears. "This hotel represents something beyond business," Jason continued. "It represents resilience, second chances, the idea that even when everything falls apart, you can create something beautiful from the pieces." The applause was thunderous. Later, as the sun set over Miami Beach, I stood on the hotel balcony with Frederick. "Mr. Robert would be very proud," he said quietly. "I hope so, Fred. I really do." "You kept your promise to him. You protected Jason." "We protected him," I corrected. "You're the one who discovered the truth." Frederick smiled. "We made a good team." Below us, the party continued. Jason laughing with Emma. Sophia showing her father the seashells she'd found on the beach. Walter holding court with business associates. Life moving forward. "Fred, can I ask you something?" "Of course, Mrs. Hayes." "Do you think I did the right thing standing up at that wedding? Sometimes I wonder if there was a better way, a way that didn't humiliate Jason so publicly." Frederick was quiet for a moment. "Mrs. Hayes, I've worked for your family for 15 years. I watched Mr. Robert build this empire. I watched him love you and Jason with everything he had. And I watched him make you promise to protect your son." He turned to face me. "You kept that promise in the only way that would work. If you'd told Jason privately, Mia would have talked her way out of it. If you'd waited until after the wedding, she'd have had legal access to everything. You chose the one moment when the truth couldn't be denied or explained away. But the cost was temporary embarrassment versus permanent destruction. Jason is alive, thriving, building his future. That's what matters. I nodded, knowing he was right, but still carrying the weight of that decision. Besides, Frederick added with a small smile, Mr. Jason forgave you. That should tell you everything. St. Philip's Cathedral looked exactly the same. Same Gothic architecture, same stained glass windows, same marble floors. But everything else was different. I sat in the front row wearing a lavender dress this time. Frederick sat beside me, both of us watching as guests filed in. At the altar, Jason stood waiting, Tyler beside him as best man again. But this time, Jason's face showed genuine peace, real happiness, no shadow of grief or manipulation. The organ began to play. Emma Lawson appeared at the back of the cathedral. She wore a simple white dress, elegant but not extravagant. Her smile was genuine as she walked down the aisle, her father beside her. This time, everything was real. When Emma reached the altar, Jason took her hand. They'd been together for 2 years now, slowly, carefully building a relationship based on honesty and trust. Reverend Patterson smiled at them. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. I found myself holding my breath during the critical moment. If anyone here knows any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence. Peaceful, undisturbed silence. No objections, no revelations. Just two people who genuinely loved each other, ready to build a life together. Jason caught my eye and smiled. I smiled back, tears streaming down my face. We made it, Robert, I thought. Our boy made it through. The ceremony continued. Vows were exchanged. Honest vows, meaningful promises. I, Jason, take you, Emma, to be my lawfully wedded wife. I promise to trust you, to be honest with you, to build a life with you based on truth and respect. I, Emma, take you, Jason. I promise to honor your past support, your present, and build our future together, with patience, with honesty, with love. When they kissed, the cathedral erupted in applause. At the reception held at the original Hayes Hotel in downtown Atlanta, I found a quiet moment on the terrace. The city lights sparkled below. Inside, I could hear music and laughter. Mrs. Hayes, I turned. Daniel Rodriguez stood there, Sophia beside him. She was 10 now, growing into a beautiful young lady. Daniel, Sophia, I'm so glad you could come. We wouldn't have missed it, Daniel said. After everything. How have you been? Good, really good. I'm managing a small accounting firm now. Sophia's in 5th grade, top of her class. Sophia beamed. I got all A's last semester. That's wonderful. Mrs. Hayes, Daniel said quietly. Mia got out on parole last month. I absorbed this. 3 years. She'd served 3 years. How is she? Different. Quieter. She's working as a waitress, living in a halfway house. She sees Sophia twice a month, supervised visits. He paused. She asked me to thank you. Thank me. For not destroying her completely. For helping Sophia. For giving me the resources to build a stable life. Daniel's voice thickened. She knows she doesn't deserve your kindness, but she's grateful anyway. I thought about Mia, the woman who'd almost destroyed my son, who'd lied and manipulated and planned to steal everything, but also the terrified mother who'd made catastrophic choices to save her child. Tell her, I said slowly, that I hope she builds a good life, for Sophia's sake. Daniel nodded, understanding what I wasn't saying. I don't forgive you. But I don't need to destroy you either. Jason appeared on the terrace, Emma's hand in his. Mom, they're about to cut the cake. You should come inside. I'll be right there, sweetheart. Jason noticed Daniel and Sophia. He walked over, shook Daniel's hand. Thanks for coming, both of you. Congratulations, Mr. Jason, Sophia said shyly. Your wife is really pretty. Thank you, Sophia. How's school? Good, I'm learning algebra. That's great. Keep working hard. As they talked, Emma joined me by the railing. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For raising such a good man. For protecting him when he needed it. For teaching him that people can heal from betrayal. He did the healing himself, I said. I just gave him the chance. Emma smiled. Jason told me what happened. At the first wedding, how you stood up in front of everyone. I've wondered if that was the right choice. It was so public, so humiliating for him. It was exactly the right choice, Emma said firmly, because it saved him, and because of that, I get to marry him. I get to build a life with a man who understands the value of truth and trust. She squeezed my hand. So thank you, Charlotte, for being brave when it mattered most. Inside, the party continued. Jason and Emma cut their cake chocolate Robert's favorite. Toasts were made. Stories were told. Frederick found me near midnight as things were winding down. Mrs. Hayes, may I have this dance? I smiled. Of course, Fred. On the dance floor, as a slow song played, Frederick said, Mr. Robert would be dancing with you if he were here. I know. I miss him every day. But you did what he asked. You protected Jason. And look at him now. I looked across the dance floor. Jason and Emma swayed together, completely absorbed in each other. Real love, real trust, real future. Yeah, I whispered. Look at him now.